I just thought I'd share this with you. I'm toying with someone on Twitter. It's a bit of a lefty, Kiss a Tree, Save a Whale Brigade, going on about ancestry and how basically we've no right to claim England as our own. And this was after a discussion with her poppet of a child who hasn't decided on what sex she is yet, according to her mother. She's 3, you know what you like at 3, daddy or chips, not girl or boy. Anyway, so in an effort to educate her on where do I come from, mummy, I thought this was quite a good reply, so I put it on Twitter. Back in the days when chainmail was actually a form of protection, not some annoying electronic letter, King Ethelstan, or Stan to his mates, after much arguing, which isn't easy in Old English, and of course the usual bloodshed, gathered the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms and created the Kingdom of England. 'Has been since such, ever since. It will be 1100 years in 2027, and all this is currently being dismantled by a man despised by most of the nation. Ethelstan, Stan, was the son of Edward the Elder. Well, he would be, wouldn't he? If he was Edward the Younger, it wouldn't have been his dad. His granddad was a very famous man, like being the grandson of Tyson Fury now. This was before the age of social media. Granddad was Alfred the Great, famous for defeating the Danes, known as the Vikings, and way before vat-packed bacon. Ethelstan, Stan, never married. A mate of his advised him not to, as he'd cottoned on to the fact that Stan was a bit gayish. But he did have kids, just no nagging wife asking him to fix the back door lock or get the grass cut. His mate, Uhtred of Bebbanburg, the Earl of Northumbria, was played by a well-fit actor called Alexander Drayman, known to make some viewers go damp in their secret little girl place. He quite possibly made Stan feel a bit the same way too, but records show there was no touchy-feely going on, bearing in mind these are the records according to Netflix. Although Uhtred was based on a real-life character called Uhtred the Bold, bold as in fearless, not bold as in genital waxing. Thanks for the message anyway, and I hope that clears up the question from your little poppet of where do we come from, mummy, and it's much better and more in depth than from your mummy's tummy. Just how I handle stuff. Another way I de-stress is to email MPs and definitely Keir Starmer, but I usually put in the title, keep number 10 read, and it throws them off the scent, and some unsuspecting spad or head will think, oh, this could be good. Could be some ideas for us to hang on to tyranny. And then when they open it, it's just a pile of insults from me. So here's my latest to Keir Starmer, a bit longer than I normally do. I normally just do bullet points in a paragraph, but I just decided to go for it and felt relieved afterwards. Dear Keir, then of course I do put it on Twitter. Dear Keir, I'm still crease laughing at the thought of you having a voice coach. Not exactly money well spent, unless you were auditioning for the Wooden Tops. Your staccato delivery of good news and bad is just a jumble of vowels and consonants that deserve a better life. Mind you, we all do under your shambolic tyranny. Labour donors get contracts that make them rich, from subsidies that the taxpayer funds. You couldn't manage a corner shop, let alone a country. Your Chancellor is about as talented as a double amputee ballerina in Doc Martens. Sorry amputees, but I needed a strong message. As for your front bench, who must be sharing a brain between them, they couldn't be innovative if Elon Musk gave them one-to-one tutorials on innovation. They would sit there agog and dumbfounded as the knowledge unfolded. As for your speech therapist, during the time you craved harder lockdowns and restrictions and watched people's lives fall apart in pure anguish, I suppose we have to be grateful you weren't actually shagging the vowel and breathing specialist, unlike Tory boy Matt Hancock, who got deep down and dirty with his piece. So here we are, like sitting ducks at a funfair, as you take one pop after another at the very people who built this country and made it great. The only good news is you are a fool of fools on the world stage, and the brightest and the best see it. Your time will be short. You have power because the people couldn't be bothered with liars and cheats and self-serving individuals, commonly known as a collective as politicians. The next election will be quite a different matter. Your dad certainly was a tool maker. Go get our country back. So that had 61,000 views on Twitter. So there's obviously a lot of people feel the same as me. Andy got tagged in it. Look, when I put anything on Twitter that's directed at Keir Starmer that he's tagged in, or I write a comment on his thread, it's not because I'm expecting him to see it. I'm expecting everybody else who's looking at the thread to see it. That way people bring up a kind of feel for what the country's thinking. And that's important because it's viewed by millions of people across the world. And that's why it gets slagged off in the foreign press. Even my ex-next door neighbour said, Joni, from Austria, what is the man in number 10? Who is this devil? So I had to explain in broken English and a little bit of German who he actually was. And I didn't give him a good resume, I can assure you. The latest go to work in the land of Great Britain, commonly known as Tyranny UK, is some poor delusional sod decided to burn a religious book in Manchester. Not that Manchester's got anything to do with it, but a foolish thing because it doesn't solve anything, it doesn't draw attention to anything. It's basically a sensationalism for, a couple of days on social media and clickbait for people reporting on it. And the man who's done this has changed his life forever. But it's not been without accomplices, because after he did the dirty deed, unfortunately, he got arrested immediately and somehow talked into pleading guilty to a crime that I don't think really might be offensive, but is it a crime? I question that. But now his life has changed forever, I do assure you, because the Greater Manchester Police have published his personal details on social media, his home address. Many people suspect he'll never be able to go back there because there are maniacs that live amongst us, unfortunately, that will take this to the nth degree. Je suis Charlie and all that. So we're living in strange times, and the best thing you can do is start from within. Keep this healthy and keep this, your home environment and your family, looked after and healthy. They're your first responsibilities, because all the good stuff that you've created over the years, you did, not politicians, and don't let it be taken from you by getting involved in the furor of social media where people want to lash out. We're not in a position to lash out, but we will be. We're making little gains all the time, in the right way, in back cabinet office meetings about various issues with farming, DEFRA, different things, the World Health Organization. All these things are going on all the time. So don't get defeatist because of what's going on social media. And I would never attack a particular religion head on. I think Farage has got it right. Not because he's cowardly, because there are better ways to tackle this. You need to fight a different fight, and just lashing out and getting rid of anger is never going to be productive enough to have any effect, because unfortunately half the country is against it. The parliamentarians are against it, the people in power are against it, the legislators against it, the judiciary is against it, the police are against it. You're taking on one mammoth machine here. So the best thing to do is to do it the way, if you look in the manifesto and you listen to what Farage says about what reform will do, which is basically repealing lots of unsuitable laws, there are other ways to go about getting a better country than what we have right now. I hope that was informative. And it's a nice day today, so I'm going to go out and enjoy it with my dogs. I just thought I'd read you this, just to keep you going, after I got some really heartbreaking messages from people, especially people living alone, trying to get through what is a very difficult time, and we're a bit overwhelmed with it all, aren't we? So I put this post on Twitter and Facebook, and I hope it benefits you too. I'm going to read it out. Social media is a double-edged sword where everything is intensified. Issues which are not relevant to your life are brought to your attention. A reaction is invited, and as willing participants we deliver. We live in an era of excessive information, much of which we don't need and can find upsetting. 24/7 news channels add to the load. We're living in times of swiftly moving politics where sleight of hand has become the tool of the political class, who can decide on a narrative by using the mainstream media talking heads bring you a story, not necessarily the truth. It can ultimately be quite depressing. We need a mechanism to turn down the volume and compartmentalise what we need to be concerned about. I can only explain this how I handle it. Most of what you are reacting to will never affect you personally. And even if it does, there will probably be a way around it somehow. It's worse for people trying to cope with this alone. I make a list. It's like a reverse shopping list that you're never going to buy. First, ask yourself this. From the list of things you find upsetting, how many things have actually affected your life? From Pakistani grooming gangs to trans issues to stabbings in schools, the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit in batshit bonkers Wales to drug-related deaths in Scotland or the fires of California. How much OPP, other people's problems, are you actually allowing to weigh you down, leaving you drained of energy to fight the stuff that actually affects you? Then look at your day-to-day habits, especially pertaining to the things you enjoy, like walking your dog, going to the gym, pleasure shopping, or meeting a friend. It's the little things that pep you up, and remember to then enjoy them. Everything that's good in your life you put there, not a politician, not a newsreader, or a blogger, you did it. Never forget that. Before information was so intensified, we had to wait to receive it. The TV news was on at set times and was originally only 15-minute slots that extended to 30 minutes with news at 10. On ITV, limited channels meant limited narrative styles. The newspaper was delivered once a day. To discuss the contents of it, you had to go to work to meet other people, or go shopping, or go to the pub to meet up with friends. Now, the little device in your pocket or by the side of your bed puts you directly in view of every known catastrophe on the planet. You can react and discuss it with hundreds of people you will never meet. We weren't set up for this intensity. I always make sure before I go to sleep I actually do something nice with my phone. I may watch a few comedy clips or majestic photography or this wonderful planet, things that I find attractive, like watching something about sitting on a beach, a holiday show, anything as long as you find it uplifting. Do something with this little magic box that gives you pleasure. I often watch my dog videos late at night. I take videos of my dogs every day, and when I go to bed, if I feel a bit overwhelmed, like, oh God, what a place to live, I get my dog videos out and I look at my dogs, I haven't got a clue what's going on, and I think, you're getting the best from the day. So I try to emulate it a bit. So do something with the little magic box that gives you pleasure. You'll be amazed how much better your life is. And still, the life you have is very much intact. By taking a step back from the enormous amount of information coming to you, you will feel better. That's all I can say. That's what I do, and it really does help.